Picture this. You push your cart down the aisle, expecting the usual, but there's no bread, no fruit, no dairy, just silence and signs that say, out of stock. In 2025, this isn't a rare inconvenience. It's a warning. Across America, families are waking up to a new kind of crisis. Not just inflation, not just bad policy, but a quiet collapse, playing out in empty stores, shrinking paychecks, and rising rent. In this video, we reveal the top 7 U.S. states people are fleeing right now. Not because they're giving up, but because they've had enough. Because it shouldn't cost this much to eat. Because no one should have to choose between food and fuel. So if your fridge is half full, your pantry thinning out, and your patience running low, this list is for you. Let's begin. Number 1, California. California has always been the dream, a place where careers soared, innovation thrived, and the sun rarely took a day off. But in 2025, more and more people are waking up from that dream, hungry. Over 800,000 residents have left California since 2022, and food insecurity is now one of the driving forces. In cities like Los Angeles and San Diego, a gallon of milk costs over $7, and eggs routinely hit $8 to $9 per dozen. And it's not just a big city issue. Inland areas like Fresno, Stockton, and Bakersfield are being hit even harder. Grocery stores are closing, especially in low-income and working-class neighborhoods. Major chains like Save-A-Lot and Smart & Final have pulled out of multiple locations, citing theft, high rent, and razor-thin profit margins. In their place, nothing. No replacements, no alternatives. Just miles of distance between families and fresh food. That's how food deserts form, and they're expanding fast. From urban cores to rural towns, families who once shopped weekly are now shopping daily, not by choice, but by necessity. They can't afford to buy in bulk. They can't afford to waste. Many now buy what they can carry on a bus and what they can cook without running up the electricity bill. Meanwhile, food banks are overwhelmed. Demand has doubled since 2021, but donations haven't. And the faces in line? Not just the unemployed, they're teachers, nurses, Uber drivers, college students. Middle-class Californians are quietly skipping meals to cover rent. Others are turning to fast food, not because it's convenient, but because it's cheaper than groceries. In a state that prides itself on progress and prosperity, millions are rationing milk, choosing between fresh vegetables or gas, between fruit and phone bills. And when food becomes a luxury, people start to leave. Not because they hate California, but because it no longer feeds them, literally or financially. The weather is still perfect, but the pantry is empty. And for tens of thousands of Californians in 2025, that sunshine isn't worth starving under. Number 2, New York. New York is the empire of ambition, but in 2025, the empire is cracking where it matters most, at the dinner table. Food prices have surged 24% in just 3 years, outpacing wage growth and draining working-class budgets statewide. In the Bronx, Brooklyn, and parts of upstate New York, residents are watching their local grocery stores vanish. Associated, C-Town. Even larger chains like Stop and Shop have quietly closed dozens of locations. The reason? High crime, rising rent, and shrinking margins. The result? Entire communities turning into food deserts, where fresh produce is miles away and unaffordable when you get there. A gallon of milk in parts of the Bronx now costs $6.50. A dozen eggs, $7 or more depending on the week. And that's if you can find them. Shelves sit half-stocked, staff are overworked, and smaller corner stores charge 20 to 30% more. Middle-income families are quietly being pushed into survival mode. Many are now lining up at local food pantries, some for the first time in their lives. One pantry in Queens reported a 300% increase in demand since 2020, and the lines aren't getting shorter. Public assistance programs like SNAP are stretched thin. Even those receiving benefits say it's not enough. They get $280 a month, but food for a family of 4 now costs over $700. Something's not adding up. Rent is also crushing. Nearly half of New Yorkers' income goes to housing, leaving very little for groceries. And utility bills keep climbing. So people cut where they can. They skip breakfast, they water down soup, they eat once a day. And still, it's not enough. More than 200,000 people left New York State in 2024, and food insecurity was a major reason cited in multiple surveys. They didn't move for a bigger house or better weather. They moved so their kids could eat 3 meals a day. Because in the Empire State today, eating like a king feels more like surviving like a peasant. Number 3, Louisiana. Louisiana has always been known for its food. Gumbo, crawfish, beignets, dishes rooted in generations of culture and community. But in 2025, the kitchens are quieter, and the shelves barer than ever. Over 15% of households in Louisiana face food insecurity, among the highest in the nation. And this isn't a sudden shock, it's a slow, steady erosion. Major grocery chains have been retreating for years. In 2023 alone, Walmart, Save a Lot, and several local grocers closed over 30 stores statewide, particularly in low-income urban and rural areas. That's left entire neighborhoods in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Shreveport without a full-service grocery store. People now drive 30, 40, even 50 miles for basic necessities, or they don't go at all. In smaller towns like Bastrop or Bogalusa, the only options are gas stations and dollar stores. A dozen eggs, $8.50, if they're even in stock. Milk, over $7 depending on the day and location. What used to be a weekly chore is now a high-cost, low-reward burden. Families are adapting the only way they can, cutting back. Parents skip meals. Kids go to school hungry. Some split one meal across 3 people and stretch it over 2 days. SNAP benefits haven't kept up. Even those who qualify say their assistance runs out before the 15th of the month. Food banks try to fill the gaps, but they're overwhelmed. In Lafayette, one pantry reported a 4-fold increase in visitors since 2021. Churches organize pop-up food drives, but donations are down. Even volunteers are struggling. In some communities, neighbors cook in bulk and share. Others drive to Texas or Mississippi just to shop affordably. And while Louisiana remains culturally rich, its economy and access to food tells a harsher story. Add in rising insurance premiums, hurricane recovery costs, and widespread job instability, and you have a system buckling under pressure. Families aren't just moving for opportunity anymore. They're leaving for survival. Because in a state where food once defined identity, now the question isn't what's for dinner. It's will there be any? Number 4, West Virginia. West Virginia is no stranger to struggle. Coal towns faded, factories closed, young people moved away. But in 2025, the newest crisis isn't work, it's food. Over 17% of West Virginians now face food insecurity, with rural communities hit hardest. And while poverty has long been an issue here, what's changing is availability. In dozens of counties, full-service grocery stores have vanished. McDowell, Lincoln, and Wyoming counties have become modern food deserts, where the closest supermarket is 40 miles away. For many, that distance is impossible. Public transportation is rare. Gas prices have jumped 22% since last year, and car ownership isn't a given. That leaves people relying on gas stations, dollar stores, and whatever's left at the end of the month. Fresh fruit? Maybe once a week. Meat? Often too expensive to consider. Even basic staples like bread and milk are marked up beyond reason. $6 for milk, $7 to $8 for eggs if they're in stock. SNAP benefits offer some help, but the system is strained. Benefit amounts haven't matched inflation. Many recipients say they run out within 10 days. And with fewer stores around, even spending SNAP means paying more for less. Food pantries try to bridge the gap, but donations are down, demand is up, and many pantries open just once or twice a week when they have anything to give. Elderly residents are the most vulnerable. Living alone on fixed incomes without transportation, they're often forced to ration canned goods or skip meals entirely. One senior in Logan County told local press, "I eat once a day. That's enough to keep the lights on." Churches cook meals in bulk and deliver them to neighbors, but that's not a system, that's survival. Meanwhile, job opportunities remain scarce. Young adults continue to leave, not because they don't love home, but because home no longer offers the basics. Not education, not work, not food. West Virginia is rich in land and history, but in 2025, it's starving for infrastructure, investment, and attention. Because when people have to choose between staying and eating, they pack their bags with an empty stomach and a heavy heart. Number 5. Hawaii. Hawaii still looks like paradise. Turquoise waters, palm trees, a gentle breeze drifting through the air. But for locals in 2025, the beauty hides a brutal truth. Grocery shopping has become an act of financial survival. Hawaii imports nearly 90% of its food supply, making it the most expensive state in the U.S. for groceries. And it shows. A gallon of milk now costs $8 to $9, while a dozen eggs frequently exceeds $10. In some areas, produce is so overpriced that families opt for rice and canned goods, even if they work full-time. But this isn't just about prices, it's about access. In rural areas like Molokai or parts of the Big Island, residents must travel hours just to find a full-service grocery store. And if there's bad weather, shipping delays, or road closures, that store might be empty or closed altogether. Even in Honolulu, locals are being pushed out of affordable grocery zones by rising rents and tourism development. Boutiques and Airbnbs now occupy space once held by mom-and-pop grocers and neighborhood markets. Locals are finding themselves driving further, spending more, and returning home with less. Many turn to food banks, but those are struggling too. One food bank in Oahu reported a 70% increase in demand over the past 18 months, while donations have dropped by almost a third. Volunteers say they're seeing more working families, parents in uniforms, retirees, even hotel staff, serving food to tourists by day, waiting in line for their own meals by night. Native Hawaiians are being hit hardest. Longtime residents, priced out of housing and now priced out of food, are moving to Las Vegas, Oregon, or the mainland, not for opportunity, but to survive. This isn't relocation, it's quiet displacement. Hawaii still boasts one of the most iconic culinary cultures in the world, but today more and more local families are asking the same question. How can I feed my children on an island where everything costs more than I earn? And for thousands, the heartbreaking answer is, you can't. Number 6, Mississippi. Mississippi has long battled poverty, but in 2025, hunger is becoming its most urgent fight. According to USDA data, Mississippi leads the nation in food insecurity, with more than 20% of households lacking consistent access to food, and the reasons go far beyond low wages. In dozens of small towns across the state, grocery stores have simply disappeared. In places like Holmes County, LaFleur, and Quitman, full-service supermarkets have closed, replaced by dollar stores and gas stations, if anything at all. Families who once drove 5 minutes to buy groceries now drive 45. If they can't afford gas, if they have a car, and once they arrive, they find shelves half-stocked, prices inflated, and no fresh produce in sight. A gallon of milk in rural Mississippi now averages $6.50, while eggs routinely cost $7 or more. For families surviving on minimum wage or fixed incomes, that's devastating. SNAP benefits don't stretch nearly as far as they used to. Many recipients say their food stamps run out before the second week of the month. And for families with multiple children, it's a constant balancing act. Food or bills, gas or groceries, rent or breakfast. Local churches and food pantries try to step in, but even they are overwhelmed. One volunteer in Greenwood said, "We don't ask if someone's working anymore. Everyone's working. They're just still hungry." Some parents send their kids to school early just to make sure they get breakfast. Others rely entirely on school-provided meals and panic during long weekends or holidays. Rural school districts have started sending home food packs on Fridays, knowing full well some kids won't eat again until Monday. This isn't about poor planning. It's about a system that's broken, where food logistics, supply chains, and economic abandonment intersect. The state's rich farmland still grows crops, but much of it is exported or industrial. The irony? Mississippi can feed millions, just not its own people. And that's why families, especially young ones, are quietly leaving, heading to neighboring states where groceries are cheaper and stores are closer. They're not fleeing culture or community, They're fleeing hunger. Number 7. Nevada. Nevada is a state built on hospitality. Las Vegas feeds millions of tourists a year with all-you-can-eat buffets, endless room service, and five-star dining. But just beyond the Strip, thousands of local residents can't afford groceries. In 2025, the average rent in Las Vegas has climbed to $1,800 per month. And food prices? They've jumped more than 30% since 2020. Milk averages $6.25 per gallon, and eggs are now $7 to $8 per dozen in many working-class neighborhoods. But rising prices aren't the only issue. Grocery access is vanishing. Several national chains have closed locations in low-income areas of North Las Vegas and Henderson. The reason? Rising theft, low profit margins, and a shrinking customer base that simply can't afford to shop. That's how food deserts are born, not from distance, but from disinvestment. And the people affected most? Casino workers, hotel maids, security guards. They serve the city's luxury every day and return home to empty refrigerators and overworked pantries. Food banks in Clark County report record demand. Lines form early and supplies vanish within hours. Volunteers say more clients are full-time workers who simply can't stretch their paychecks anymore. And the irony is cruel. Inside the Strip, leftovers from buffets are dumped nightly, while outside, families eat instant noodles and peanut butter for dinner. Some nonprofits have tried to repurpose casino surplus food, but regulations and logistics limit their reach. And in rural Nevada, places like Ely, Winnemucca, or Tonopah, the crisis is even worse. Grocery stores have closed, delivery trucks are inconsistent, and prices are higher than ever. Residents there drive over an hour just to find produce. And with gas nearing $5 per gallon, even that trip is a burden. The economy on paper looks strong. Tourism is booming, construction is rising. But for locals, it's survival mode. More and more are leaving Nevada for neighboring states, where rent is lower and grocery stores are still open. Because when you serve steak to visitors, but can't afford cereal for your own kids, something is broken. And in Nevada, that break is getting harder to hide. When food becomes a luxury, when working full-time still leaves your fridge half empty, that's not inconvenience. That's collapse in slow motion. Across these 7 states, millions of Americans are living with hard choices every single day. Not just what to buy, but where to go, whether to stay or walk away. If your city, your neighborhood, or your grocery aisle feels emptier every week, you're not alone. Leave a comment. Tell us what you're seeing. And if this video helped make sense of what you're feeling, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because ignoring the shelves won't fill them.